Welcome to our new series, The 200 Movie Challenge. Our goal this year is to watch 200 movies that we haven't seen yet. If you want to listen to the full podcast where this clip is from, the link will be in the description. Now enjoy today's movie.
But Soto, I did watch the second movie, and I actually watched this movie before I watched Terrifier 3. I think one night I was just trying to figure out what to watch. I know I've brought this up. We talked about watching part 2 of It, but then we looked and it was almost 3 hours long. And even Jill pulled us. She quoted what Soto would say. I talk in third person here, but like it's in 2 parts. Why is this movie fucking 3 hours? So we're like, because it kind of was like, and then I actually thought about putting Terrifier 3 and I'm like, God, I don't want to subject her to this. So I'm just trying to find something. And
No,
I
love your one.
I do. And I was on Prime, and actually, I saw this thumbnail a couple days before, and me and friend he asked me if I saw it yet that morning, and when I saw it, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put this on. So I actually watched a documentary. So I know we're in the season. So this is by far this is not a spooky movie. This is actually a very happy movie. I guess depends if you're our age group, because kids these days, as we like to see, do not really know who he is for the most part, or won't have the nostalgic feeling we have. But I saw John Candy, I Like Me.
Nice.
And basically, yeah, I didn't know what to expect going in. I knew it was probably going to be a lot of history. It was directed by Colin Hanks, Tom Hanks' son. John Candy's son does a lot of the narration, but they get a lot of people talking in this from Tom Hanks. Even Bill, it starts off with Bill Murray. He's telling a story in the documentary. He's like, you know what? I have nothing bad to say about. He's like, I wish I had some dirt or something bad to say about him. And then he gives like a funny joke or a funny story. He's like, that's about the worst thing I can ever say about John Candy. This documentary is great. Again, if you're a fan of his, if you know who he is and what he meant to the movie industry in that time in the comedies. And I think that's why this resonates a little bit more, again, with our age group. It was fun seeing how he got into the business, and obviously kind of re-seeing a lot of the movies he did, Quick Scenes, Planes, Trains, and Automobile Space. I don't need to go through the whole list. But it was very interesting, his lifestyle, because I found out, I never really thought about it. He was born the same year my dad was born, 1950. I don't know why I thought he might have been older, but that kind of put things in perspective to me. But it starts off on his 5th birthday, right before his 5th birthday, his dad, who was 35 years old, died of a massive heart attack. And that's kind of like the underlying thing, because he, in a weird way, though he wasn't the oldest, kind of grew up being the caretaker of the family, his mom and stuff like that. So that was very heart-wrenching, and but that's also a lot of his story of why he did a lot of things, never really took care of himself that well. Because he was obviously, again, we've heard a lot of, these comedians from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, actors, the drinking, the smoking, and this and that. He never did drugs. That was never actually brought up, but he was always doing that, not eating healthy. And part of that was, Hollywood wanted him fat, for lack of better terms.
Yeah,
he actually lost. There's a time when he was kind of away from Hollywood doing other things real quick, because he owned he also owned a football team, like a CFL team, a Canadian Football League team. He lost. He was on a talk show saying he lost 70 pounds, and you can actually see it during. I don't know if it was like Leno or Letterman, and then his son was just saying, but then he wasn't getting those scripts in Hollywood. So it's kind of sad, because you always hear, again, Hollywood, gotta stay fit, gotta be, the pretty one, this and that, and yeah, that's what they wanted John Candy. But what was kind of great about this is just everyone, and obviously they wouldn't put it, but it was just like how likable he was. He always wanted to help people. He always wanted to make people laugh. He always stayed a little extra to sign whatever autographs just for fans, tell stories. He made you care. You believe that he cared about you. Because, you get into conversations, you would think with some celebrities, and they might just be, mindless chit chat, whatever. But he actually had interest in a lot of people. But yeah, I will say, there's not much to it. It was enjoyable. Again, this is a typical documentary. You learn a little bit of John Candy's life, and that's about it. but there was
Mhm.
nothing more. But yeah, then obviously, and I forgot how long ago we passed. For some reason, it felt like he only passed like 10 years ago, 10, 15, like more recent than what it was. It was like 94. When I saw that, I'm like, God, it wasn't really that long ago, 30 years ago that he passed away. So, no, you know what?
1994 was a long time ago. Is
Yeah,
that what you said?
yeah, it was.
1994 was a fucking long time ago,
I
dude.
know, but like I said, if you would have asked me before this, like, hey, when did John Candy pass? I probably would have said, what, 10, 15 years ago? Like, not thinking. Like, it just, for some reason, still felt, and I say recent, but you know what I mean? Like, within the
Yeah.
2000s, I didn't really overthink it. It was just like, my God, yeah, it's been a long time. Um, but I will say so, I mean, as entertaining it was to see, again, relive a lot of the movies he did, how he got into, what was that? The Canadian show that was kind of like SNL, SCTV,
Yes.
stuff like all that stuff.
You,
How
you,
how he got into improv, why he wanted to do that,
Mhm.
basically how he thought he wasn't even good enough to be there because he wanted to create basically what Chicago's I can't think of the improv group that's there. It's kind of well known. A lot of them go there, but in Toronto in that area, and he helped it, and he brought a lot of friends. Like when he had his first film, some of his friends from SCTV just to do small parts. So he was always looking out for everyone else. So, you know what? I will say this. If you are a John Candy fan, you should see this. It was good. It was just it was pretty much what a basic documentary should be. I learned a little bit about his life that I didn't know, but it was fun reliving his movies. But overall, like as a movie and documentary, it was fine. I mean, it made me miss John Candy, especially with Spaceballs 2 coming out. Um,
Yeah.
so I wish I had more to say. But those who know his career knows, what he meant, and we, a lot of us, again, our age group laugh, but again, I think about my daughter who probably wouldn't know who he is for the most part. Maybe Spaceballs, and that's about it. Um, so yeah, I
It's
liked
classic shit, though. It's
it.
such
Is
classic movies. Great
it is classic
Outdoors,
and
Uncle Buck,
correct.
you know?
And that was but all the people who came to talk, like even Macaulay Culkin, um, and John
Yeah.
Hughes, how many films he did. So yeah, there obviously yes, Uncle Buck, and how he
Planes,
got his
Trains, and Automobiles.
yep,
Yeah.
and how he could only do Home Alone, yeah, Home Alone, and like he only had one day, like he had 24 hours, for that role because he was just kind of passing by, and he did it just as a favor because he knew the direct Chris Columbus and kind of again through John Hughes. So again, I think he overly stressed himself out because he was doing all these things from the CFL, and I think that's
Yeah.
just unfortunate what got him in the end because he just the big thing they talked about at the end was, which wasn't talked about much in the late 80s and 90s as it is now, was the anxiety. I think he was learning about that the last year of his life and kind of learning what it was about. Because if you really think about that time period, that wasn't really, that panic attacks wasn't that talked about. Panic attacks
No, of
had
course
been
not.
there,
It's the
but
90s, dude.
correct. Even the 80s. Um,
It's even recent to now. I mean, it's like there was no fucking internet.
no, there wasn't.
It's just like the internet has like made all the now it's like we're in a place where people talk about this stuff a lot more. I mean, fuck, dude. I was just talking to my niece yesterday, and she was like, "We're not allowed to say in school that I don't know. We have to say I don't know yet." And I'm like, "What the fuck? I didn't have this positivity when I was growing up.
No.
Like, it's a positive mindset for a child to have." Because she was like, "We're not allowed to say I don't know. We can only say I don't know yet." And I'm like, that is fucking crazy. And there's another guy I follow who's really funny. He's a comedian, but he's a janitor at a school, and he starts off his day, and it's like there's a mirror that has like all these positive affirmations of being like, I'm enough, like I'm good enough. And I'm like, we didn't have any of this. We needed it. Nobody knew that there was anything as like mental fucking health. That was never a
Nope.
fucking thing when we were growing up. No fucking mental health. It's like, nope, just get over it. That was like our whole thing.
Yeah, no, that exactly as sad as it is, but that was basically it. Um, but
Stop
yeah,
being a
that
bitch. So it's like, oh my god.
I'll give you something to cry about. No, I mean, again,
Oh
you're
yeah.
correct. But that was kind of the last year. I think he was and it just makes it sad because like if he would have known that earlier, because again, he just wanted to be loved by everyone, and so when one of his movies bombed, because he had a good start, then he had those strings of very questionable films, like I think, and I kind of vaguely, Harry Crumb and stuff like that, and it happens, but yeah, again,
Never stopped Adam Sandler.
no, it hasn't, but different times now. Because kind of go up, you have subscription services that can help. Back then, it was pretty much if you're not in theaters, it's direct to video. That 2 ways to make your money, and then you sell it to like HBO or something. Yeah,
now being direct to video was the worst you could be. Yeah,
correct. Because you're like, oh, this is basically shit. It's not even good enough. Now it's like, yeah, fuck the theaters. We're gonna skip it. Go straight to Netflix. So yeah, as ranking goes, I will say this is pretty much middle of the road. I did put it at number 40. It was enjoyable. If it's on in the background, I would watch it again, but I knew his career. But again, it just didn't feel like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to say, it's hard to rank documentaries sometimes because it's more information, it's a different kind of enjoyment.
Right.
But I just feel like, I do like John Candy. This helped, again, being film guys. I think this is something you would enjoy, knowing him. But for the, at the end of the day, this is basically as cut and dry as a documentary can be. We got a little history of him. His friends talked about him. They kind of went over movies. So is that, was I mad about it? No, of course not. Like I said, it's John Candy. I fucking laugh at so many of his movies, even the bad ones.